Hi everybody, welcome back. To those of you who are new here, my name is Laura and this is the McLean Knits Knitting Podcast. I decided to start this just recently as a way to connect with more knitters. I don't have a lot of people in my, Maggie is back right away. I don't have a lot of people in my kind of real life that actually knit. So I thought this would be another fun way to talk to other people about what we're working on, what kind of yarns we're liking, what patterns we're enjoying. And I love personally watching knitting podcasts. I find they bring me a lot of peace. And so you need to park yourself. And so I decided to start one myself. So here we are, episode number 3. I have had, oh, and Maggie, she is going to join me. Let me see if I can show without, oh, there she is, my big loaf. I think I was saying that I have had a few new people actually join since I filmed the last episode. So thank you very much, welcome. It amazes me every time I get a notification that somebody else has subscribed, because I figured it would just be people that I know who feel bad for me who would actually, you know, subscribe and make a comment to make me feel better. But I've loved getting your comments so far. I think it's been just really nice. It's made me very happy. So if you would like to leave a comment on anything I talk about today, if you want to tell me what you're working on, what designs you're enjoying, then please let me know. I would love to connect with more people. So the first thing that I did want to talk about today is what I am wearing. That's usually where people typically start, I think. This is one of my newest finished objects. It is the Northwoods V-neck sweater by Jessie May Designs. I made mine using the Yarn Collective Bloomsbury DK yarn. I had to really think about it. I've had it in my stash for some time, and I know I've said it several times, but I'm really trying to work on using my stash yarn and not really buying yarn so that I can buy food and pay my bills instead. Boring, but you know, necessary. So using stash yarn, I've had this for some time and I really like how it knit up. You can kind of see it. It's got a bit of like a self-striping almost to it, and I will include a picture as well where maybe you can also see it a little bit better. I don't want to stand up or I'm going to knock everything over and just be more chaotic than I usually am. But yeah, it's just very, I guess, tonal. Like it has all these different shades of blue and it's very pretty. The yarn itself feels very nice on. I can be a little more sensitive to certain textures, I think, or in certain yarns, like things that are really rustic. I love them, but I think I would really struggle to wear them for any length of time because I'd just be scratching at myself all the time. And that is not a cute look. So I believe this is probably like a 100% superwash DK, and I love it. Now I think I did make a mistake perhaps when I first showed this in progress during my first episode. I believe I said it is worked from the bottom up, and that is a complete lie, a complete fabrication. I don't know where my brain was at. I don't know. It is worked from the top down. It actually has an interesting construction where there's some like shoulder shaping along kind of the back shoulders, and then you work kind of each front panel here with some shoulder shape or some short row shaping as well, and shaping for the V-neck. Maggie, girl, settle yourself. And after the V-neck area in the back is worked, then you join in the round and work top down from there. I almost said bottom up again. No, top down. And then after you finish the body, or you can put the body on hold and pick up and work for the sleeves right away. I think I finished my body first and then I went back for my sleeves. So apologies for the confusion. This is a top-down design. It is all seamless still. So you might just be putting things on hold for a period of time, I think, but I don't believe. Get away from my water. This is chaos. Jeez. Nothing is sacred when you have animals. Nothing. No drink can be left unattended. Yeah, I don't think you had to what's what I'm looking for? I think it was all seamless. Maybe things were just put on hold for periods of time, but otherwise, I love a seamless knit. I very rarely do anything where I have to do any kind of seaming besides like a 3-needle bind off at the shoulders or something. If I even see the words mattress stitch, I walk away because I've mentioned that seaming is just not a forte of mine and something that I probably just need to practice more to get better at, but I don't know, I just don't have the eye for it, and I think I just mess it up and it always looks ugly when I do it, so I avoid it. The moral of the story is, this is top down. I love the way it turned out. I like where the v-neck is sitting. Before blocking, v-neck was up here, wasn't a good look. Now it's down here, much better. Yeah, blocking can solve so many sins. So if you feel like if you don't normally block and you don't like some of the way that your knits are fitting you, then give it a bath and see how it turns out, because I think blocking can just make such a huge difference on how your knits end up fitting you and feeling on you even at the end of the day. So that is my recommendation of today, is do some blocking. It can be scary, but it can make a huge difference. So my first Jessie made finished object, the Northwoods v-neck sweater, and actually my only other finished object of this episode is also another Jessie made design. And I mentioned it, I didn't show it during my last episode. I showed a photo of from the actual pattern itself. It's the outline tank that I made at Knitting Tipsy's F Winter Mal. That I don't think this is the first year that she's run it. I feel like she's done this before as well in the past, but I'd said in my last episode, I always want to participate in knit-alongs and make-alongs, and for whatever reason, I just fall off, and then it's like, oh, it's finishing in a week, and I think, okay, well, there's no point to me starting something now just to participate for a week. So this is my very first finished object for a knit-along. I'll show it, I'll try to hold up by both the sides here. So it is a cropped length, which I like though, because I think it works well for when I'm wearing higher rise jeans and shorts, which is really my preferred length. I think the older you get, the higher you want your jeans to be. I remember I grew up in the area of low rise jeans and wanting low rise jeans, and they don't look good on anybody. Doesn't matter what size you are, what shape you are, low rise jeans are not the vibe. Higher is better. So this will go great with some high rise jeans. I'm gonna try and show it. If you've never seen this design before, it has this drop stitch detailing along the front and the sides. It goes right up along both straps. And I will say, you know, you drop that first stitch and it's a little nerve-wracking, but it all works out in the end. So if you're tempted to make it and you think, oh, that looks like it's gonna be really hard, it's the simplest thing that allows it to happen, and then you literally just drop stitches. It's incredible. I don't know how she figured it out and where she was able to come up with this design, but it worked up so quickly. I think I cast on maybe a Thursday and I finished on a Sunday. Mind you, I was doing a lot of knitting because I was working a couple night shifts, but it worked up so quickly, especially given that it is a fingering weight yarn. I made this using Malabrigo sock in the color fuchsia, which I would 100% work with again because it's so nice. Someday when I have a salary again, I will definitely get more of it because it is lovely. It is so lovely. I think it's probably just like a superwash, maybe nylon mix. I don't even really know off the top of my head, but it is just really cozy on. Really comfortable, I should say. Maybe you don't want your summer knits to be always super cozy, but you want them to be comfortable, and it is comfortable. So I see this going along, like I say, great with some high-rise pants. If you're going out for a drink or just after a long beach day, I can't wait for it to actually warm up enough to wear it. And actually outside today, beautiful, but what are we getting tonight? Snow, so won't be wearing that for a little while, I don't think. After I filmed my last episode where I talked about all the different summer designs that I want to make, all I really want to make are summer designs. That being said, I still have a few sweaters that that are on my needles right now. Actually, I just cast on for a new sweater yesterday because I'm in a test knit that I'll talk about after. But I think while I continue to work on my sweaters, which I love working on sweaters, they're one of my favorite things to knit. But while I continue to work on my sweaters, I'm going to try to have at least one summer design on my needles as well, so that by the time it actually gets warm outside, we don't know when that will be, but by the time that happens, then I will have a few new summer designs, summer patterns to wear, and yeah, just gives me something to look forward to. Along with better weather, it's always nice to have some new items in your wardrobe that you can get ready to wear again. So one of those things, actually, I'll mention a couple of them. Let me find my swatch. So one of the swatches that I did, and unfortunately, I don't think it's going to work for the design. I swatched, oh my goodness, it's so pretty though. This is purple, blue, white. It's my friend Becky at Pots and Knots. This is her yarn that she dyed, and I swatched to make the Cozy Classic Light by Jessie May. Jessie May stan right now. I'm just making all her patterns. This is for the Cozy Classic Light because I wanted to make a short sleeve version as well for the summer months. And I have so many pretty, like, speckly and variegated yarns that are just so perfect for the Cozy Classic Light, or the Cozy Classic Raglan, which is just a very basic, top-down raglan design where you can really show off the yarn and it's not going to interfere with the pattern itself. Because if I had a lot of lace or something going on, then you're not capturing the lace or the design as well, or even the yarn itself. There's just too much going on. So for something that is much more basic, I think that's where a lot of these very kind of fun yarns can come into play. Unfortunately, I think I'm running into a bit of a gauge issue. Just gonna see where I've made some notes. I always try to make notes as to what my gauge is at with different needle sizes, so that if I walk away from something for a while and I go back, then I know what kind of needles I was using. So the gauge for the Cozy Classic Light is 24 stitches times 30 rows. And when I tried this yarn using the recommended needle size, I was 22 stitches times 35 rows. So both my stitches and my rows are off. And and I always mess this up, I have to always think about it a lot. If I go down a needle size to get more stitches per inch, which is what I need more stitches, it's gonna make my row gauge be even worse than what it is right now. Like if I got 24 times 35, I'd have been like, you know what, I'll make it happen, it's fine. But if I go down a needle size to try to get 24 rather than 22 stitches, my row gauge is gonna be like times 40 or something. And I don't know why I struggle with row gauge so much. I had somebody explain it to me before. It has to do with like how you're knitting and where you keep your yarn on your needles or something. I can't quite recall, but regardless, my row gauge sucks pretty much every time, and I have to account for that somehow. But I don't know that I'm gonna be able to make this work, which makes me so sad. I'll find something else for you, beauty yarn, but it might not be this design, which I think is very unfortunate. However, in happier news, I did another swatch that worked out better, not perfect, but better. Where are my notes here? Okay, so I made a swatch using the KPC yarn I mentioned again in my last episode to make the Classic Tee by Darling Shador. It uses just this, so it calls for a DK weight yarn, and I had this KPC yarn in my stash. The gauge for this design is 21 stitches times 27.5 rows. I got 21 times 31. So again, my rows are off. They always are, whatever, it's just a fact of life. But stitches bang on. So I'm rolling with the recommended needle size, US 6, I believe. And I am going to get cast on very soon. The one thing that I was just waiting for was the fact that I have 2 or 3 of the ChiaoGoo, I think the 8-inch cords, which are great for like hats or necks when you're getting started on a top-down design, because they're a small circumference and I suck at small circumference knitting. But I knew I had one on my sound sweater that I'm working on for the test for the Mollie at White Owl Crochet Co. Her test, the sound sweater. I had one that was on a sleeve, and then I had to tear my apartment completely apart to try to find another one. Because like I say, I know I own 2 to 3 of them, but where are they? So I did manage to find another one on a t-shirt design that for some reason I just didn't finish the sleeves. Like, the rest of the t-shirt is done. I am probably gonna bring it to work with me tonight and try to finish it tonight, because why did I just not finish it forever ago? I don't know, mental health crisis or something happened, but I did not. But I found, happier news, I found my 8-inch cord, and that's all I needed to get started on another summer design, which, oh, I just want it to be nice outside so I can actually wear them without jackets and layers. Ugh, anyway, it's beautiful outside today. I think I already mentioned, what are we getting? Snow, so depression. Anyway, it'll be fine. It'll be spring someday. In happier news though, I also cast on for another sweater, because we're gonna have sweater weather clearly for a little while longer. This is going to be the Movement sweater by Lily Kate Makes. I mentioned in one of the episodes I've done, maybe a couple now, how she is one of my favorite designers. She just is brilliant with them. Her designs are so beautiful. I don't even know I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say. But this is going to be top down raglan. I have the collar already done, and you can see it's actually a folded stockinette collar, which is just such a great idea. Oh my gosh, I would never have thought to do that, but it's so pretty. And from there is also this eyelet detailing along the raglan edges. There is some short row shaping as well to give the sweater a better fit, so that the back of your sweater is sitting up a little bit higher than your front, which I love. The short row shaping was something that terrified me before I ever tried it, and then every time I knit a sweater now that doesn't have it, I think this could just benefit from some short row shaping. And I don't even really understand how it works, but I appreciate it when a pattern has it, because it really does allow the fit to just be so much better. Yeah, I have no idea how they figure out exactly how to do it, but it makes a difference. And it's really not that hard. I always do German short row shaping. I think you can also do like wraps and turns, but I just feel like the German short row shaping is very easy. So whenever any type of short row shaping is mentioned in the pattern, I just do German short rows. So I just follow the instructions and do the German short rows instead. But I think it makes a huge difference. I did this just yesterday when last night when I was at work as well. It's made using a worsted weight yarn. I'm using Barocco Vintage again that I had in my stash, which I mentioned in a previous episode is one of my favorite worsted weight yarns to use. It's just, they have a lot of beautiful colors and it doesn't make me itchy. So I love that. It is a combination of like some acrylic, some wool, some nylon. And I know not everybody likes acrylic yarn. And I don't necessarily care for wearing 100% acrylic maybe, but the fact that the acrylic is mixed in with the wool actually allows me to wear the wool. Whereas otherwise I don't know that I'd be able to, even like a Cascade 220, which I also love because they have such a great color palette. I have one sweater in it and I have never been able to wear it for very long because I like to wear them directly against my skin, and it's made me pretty scratchy feeling. So, and it's not that bad compared to many other yarns that are a lot more rustic. So maybe I'll try blocking that sweater again and seeing if that, like giving it a bath with some wool wash, and see if maybe that helps to even soften up a little bit more for me. Because I do love the sweater. I just get itchy. So if anybody has any recommendations as to how to deal with that, please let me know. I would be happy to hear them. So that is going to be the Movement sweater, and I will keep you updated. I don't think it's going to take me, well, I say that, I really don't think it should take me very long to knit this, because it's it's just flowing so easily. The increases are just going so fast with the eyelid details. And then it's just in the round, baby. This will be done in no time. No time. I think the test goes until the end of April, perhaps, but I anticipate that I will actually be done earlier than that, which I'm not always, but I anticipate that I will be done earlier. Yeah. And then my last whip that I'm working on right now is my sound sweater. Like I just mentioned, it is a test for Mollie, White Owl Crochet Co. I have gotten up to a shoulder, which has this actually beautiful, I might not be able to really see it right now. Try to do this. It has this beautiful actual I-cord seam on the top, which again, I'm okay with like that kind of seam. It's not a mattress stitch. I don't need to do anything too crazy. The instructions were actually very clear and I was able to do it without even a YouTube video to guide me, which I do usually require when it comes to a new tutorial. I definitely am a video learner, but even I was able to figure it out, which says a lot. This is actually my second time doing this sleeve. And again, I think it's really because, moral of the story of today, my row gauge was off. And so as it has a very wide like sleeve to start, and then it will kind of taper down. And I think because my row gauge is off so much, the rate of the decreases and the length of my sleeve, it just wasn't working out. I was gonna have to add a lot of length kind of at the end of my sleeve when it was already quite narrow, versus it narrowing more gradually right to the cuff, which is kind of the look I believe. So I ripped back and I am just finagling with the decreases. I'm adding more stockinette rows in between my decrease rounds, rather than adding all of that extra length at the very end, so that I do get more of that gradual taper to the cuff rather than, you know, really wide sleeves and then just like really form-fitting sleeves into the end. That just doesn't make any sense with the way the design is supposed to happen. So after I finish this sleeve, I will cast on immediately for the second, because I need to do that I-cord seam at the shoulder, and then you actually still have a couple of stitches that you then go around and pick up all of your sleeve stitches too. So as soon as I do this seam, then I kind of have to keep continuing around with my sleeve. I could put it on hold and put the collar on, but I think I'll just keep working that second sleeve and then I'll finish with the collar and then it will be done. And this yarn is so nice. I mentioned it as well when I first introduced this whip, but it is Andean Treasure by Knit Picks, who have still not reached out to commission me, which is crazy because I talk about their yarn all the time. But it is gorgeous. It's 100% baby alpaca. It comes in some pretty colors. This, I just feel like this is gonna be a perfect spring sweater. I need it done now so that by the time it stops snowing here, I'll actually get some time to wear it. I'm always afraid in the spring that just one day it'll stop snowing and the next day it'll be like 25 degrees and it'll be too hot for my sweaters. But this is just gonna be so cozy. I want it so bad. The sleeves are just taking me a little while, especially because I already just ripped one back and then put it in timeout for a couple of days, because that's always frustrating when you have to rip out something and then start back. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but this is why I need to have more than one project on the go, so that if I get frustrated with one thing, then I can go on to something else. But yeah, it's all my own fault because my row gauge is off so much. That's the reason why I think I'm just needing to add that extra length. So it's not the pattern, it's me. It's that song. It's me, the problem, however that goes. But I am the problem when it comes to the sweater. But I am working on it, and it's coming along now that I've kind of started, like I say, finagling with the rows and adding in more decreases as I go. Or more stockinette rows, I should say, as I go. The last whip that I have on my needles, I don't actually have it here with me right now. I say that, it's literally across the room. I could go pick it up, I'm not going to. It is the the Bibliophile Mid, I believe is what it may be listed on his Ravelry. It's by Alicia Plummer. She has the Bibliophile in fingering weight yarn, which I have also made, which I have also not taken pictures for yet. I'll put a picture of her wearing her design. But I made my fingering weight one using Stroll Tweed by Knit Picks. And I am making this one using City Tweed something. It's also by Knit Picks. And it's coming along well. I just have one other sleeve and the collar to do. I'm not gonna do a turtleneck version like I did for my fingering weight one. I'm going to do a folded collar because I also really love a folded collar. The only problem has been that I feel like I'm using US 6mm needles for everything I'm working on right now. So that needs 6mm needles. I think I'm using a size 6 as well for my sound sweater. The classic tee that I need to cast on for, US 6. And funnily enough, I have the Chowgu interchangeable set of needles, like the complete set. And I have over time bought some extras for needle sizes. Like I found especially for a period of time, I was always using US 8s or US 7s. So I think I actually have both of those needle sizes. Like I'll have 4 needles for them rather than 2, so that when I had a couple whips that needed the same needles, I wasn't always having to take them off and go back and forth. But I don't think I have an extra set for US 6. And I feel like I must need to get an extra set because right now everything I'm working on, besides the movement sweater, I'm using I did get gauge with US 8, which is actually what the pattern calls for. Oh my gosh, yay me. So this is the one design I think right now that I'm working on that doesn't need the same needle size as everything else. So that's just the only reason why I haven't gone back and finished that, because it really does, I just want to get it done. I think it's going to be really great to wear and I've wanted to finish it, but I really want to finish the sound sweater because it's also a test and there is a deadline, and the deadline is coming up. I think it's on April 16th. So that is definitely a priority. Like I said, this test doesn't need to be done until the end of the month, I believe, or the end of April. And then those are the only 2 tests that I'm in right now. Everything else is just at my own leisure. Leisure? I don't know how it's pronounced, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, that is pretty much it for my knitting today, I think. Yeah, I think so. So I will say, because I don't necessarily always just want to talk about knitting, even though this is a knitting podcast. I thought I would also mention that I did finish reading I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. So our book club hasn't actually met yet to discuss the end of the book. We actually this past week had a nursing gathering on Tuesday night, and then our book club's usually on Wednesday night. And we felt that might just be a little bit too much evening activity for us this week. So a lot of us went to the nursing ball and rescheduled book club to next week. But I did finish the book, and I will say I liked it more than I thought I was going to. I am a fiction girly. I mentioned it before. I love being put into a totally different, I love fantasy. I love being put into a totally different world that's very different from this world. Just as much more of an escape, I always feel like, from, all the bad stuff that happens in this world. Like, I'm gonna read about the bad stuff that happens in some other world instead. So I do like that, and I do like mysteries and thrillers and things along that line too, but really have never read too much nonfiction because it just felt more like school, like learning, like reading for, I don't know, knowledge versus pleasure, which is great, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think because I always, especially when I was younger, I always spent so much time focusing on schoolwork, I didn't want to do it in my spare time. I wanted to read for fun, and stories of things happening was what I found fun and enjoyable. The beginning of the book, I will say I struggle with a bit more. She's a great writer, it comes from, you know, when she's very young and you follow her throughout her life. It is her kind of memoir. And when she's young, I mean, she has endured so much abuse from her mother as she was growing up. And it wasn't until I think I got to the second half of the book when I was hearing more of her voice and her feelings and less about her mom's that I really started to enjoy it more, because I think I was getting to know her more, and I really admire her. I mean, she went through a lot. She's clearly come out amazing on the other side of it somehow. And that kind of resiliency I just find is really amazing. I don't think I have it, but I think that kind of resiliency is really incredible. And yeah, for a nonfiction book, I really enjoyed it. 4 out of 5 stars on my Goodreads. Times, obviously, I found it depressing, because it's a lot of abuse, and not necessarily always physical abuse, but abuse nonetheless, which you can read about if you decide to read the book. I won't spoil anything, but it is really a great read. And from what I understand, I think she's also writing another book. Like, I feel like she signed a multi-book deal, maybe like a 2-book deal. And I don't know if the next one will be more of like a fiction book or something, but I would definitely read more from her. So writing is something that she mentions in the book that she enjoyed as a child, and she was kind of dissuaded from it. But I really liked her writing style. It was really good. I don't know what we're going to be reading next for book club. We still have another spring semester where we're going to be together as a group. And so we would, I think, like to continue and at least read one more book before we're all kind of going in different directions for our longer term clinicals in the summer, at the end of summer, and then in the fall. But if anybody has any suggestions that I could also suggest to the group, we haven't voted on anything yet. But yeah, I think the next one is going to be fiction for those of us who are fiction readers. We thought we'd go back and forth. So if any of you guys have any good fiction-based novels that you think would be good for a book club as well, I would be happy to hear your recommendation. And that's it. I think that's it for me. Oh, the other thing I'll say is that I did start watching something that I shouldn't have, because I really should be getting ready for exams, and I am not. They don't start for like another week and a half though. That's just so much time to me. So I started watching a show on Netflix as well. And I am a binger. Like, when I start watching a show, it's like, I gotta watch it all today. You know, I'm very bad at kind of pacing myself and being like, I'll watch an episode each night. Like, that doesn't even exist to me. I am a sit down, I will watch all 12 episodes today. But I started watching the Night Action, I think it's called. And I'm enjoying it so far. If you are somebody who likes, like, I really like action movies and like those types of shows as well. So if you like, you know, there's car chases and there's fights and there's all that kind of stuff. Like, if you like that, then I think that you would probably like this too. And it's on Netflix in Canada. I don't know about Netflix other places, but The Night Action, I believe, is what it's called. And it's good so far. And yeah, that's it for me today. I will stop rambling. This is going to be a bit of a shorter episode, but I wanted to film something since I had gotten a couple of things finished. And yeah, just want to keep trying to connect with people. And if you'd like to leave a comment on anything, sorry, I keep hitting that with my foot. That's such a terrible, it's gonna be so disorienting. But yeah, if you'd like to comment on anything that I talked about, any designs, like I say, that you're working on, if you know of any really great summer patterns that are size inclusive, then please let me know. I would be happy to hear about them. And then otherwise, I will talk to you guys next time. See you later.